Hey everyone, I'm Jen. It's my 2-year anniversary of being aware of the Mandela effect phenomenon, and I've tried making a couple nice videos, yes, nice, and it's not working. All I'm doing is getting more and more emotional. So when I get emotional, I go for walks to try to, I don't know, not have my emotions get the control of me, but I thought I'd also talk with y'all, document it. We'll see if I upload this. But 2 years of this, you'd think I would have this all under my belt, understanding. So how did this happen? And the Mandela effect. I hope you can hear me. Is 2 years ago, I was watching one of those top 10 things list, things you didn't know. I like learning things. Of course, that's also being spoon-fed information to keep us in formation of whatever script is wanted to be believed. So yeah, I've definitely hardened my stance on many things. But the problem with that list was the things that people misremember. There are many things on that list that I knew were real for me, real experiences, real this body, this mind, these eyeballs witnessed. And so I know I didn't misremember them. Different things. The Monopoly man always had a monocle. People want to say, oh, well, you're confusing it with Mr. Peanut. Well, few of us, my dog is eating grass, so you're probably going to see her throwing up. She's not been feeling well. Anyhow, I hope she does throw up. You're a good girl. Yep, she's waiting to throw up. So metaphorical because I feel like throwing up. Oh, baby. Let me put you on pause while she does this. All right, I'm back. Hi, everyone. I'm Jen. I am going for a walk because I wanted to grr out my feelings. Today's my 2-year anniversary of the Mandela effect, and you'd think I would have figured things out by now. I've definitely come a long way now that I realize that reality is not fluid, and there's a connection to my strange woo-woo sixth sense stuff. But it all started 2 years ago when I was watching a top 10 list of things you didn't know, or things, and one of those lists was things many of us misremembered. The problem was, I know I did not misremember these things, and they were real life experiences. So, I stepped off the cliff and accepted this because it is. So let me back up. Before I even knew about the Mandela effect phrase, or the phenomenon being labeled as Mandela effect, I saw changes but explained them away. Like Nelson Mandela was a person who died for me in prison, and I specifically remember watching the outdoor funeral procession on TV, and a white police officer was being interviewed and he was asked how will we know that Nelson Mandela was not tortured to death? And the white police officer said, because we stopped torture years ago. And I thought, why would we trust him given their history, given the white man's history in a black-white civil rights issue where a black man was put in jail or prison? Anyhow, the point is, I would have never had that thought process had I not witnessed that interview on TV. So the Mandela effect, for those of you who do not know, is nothing political with the man. It's just, it was coined by someone who she and her mother also remember him dying in prison, and then when he came back to life out of, from our point of view, and when he stepped out of prison years later and then eventually became president of South Africa, well, that was mind-blowing. Now, for me, I did not stay with it. I think me just being a mother of, I just did not have extra time and energy to stay on the topic. But I had other things happen as my children got older. When I bought the Dr. Seuss Grinch book, when the word how was up front, I just thought the publishers rebranded it, and I thought, that's weird, but maybe they had to do that, so I don't know, something about his estate, and if they changed it enough, I have no idea. I just explained it away. When Chick-fil-A added the K to Chick, C-H-I-C, dash F-I-L dash small a, I was impressed with the company for spending lots of money to change the spelling of all the signage. Come on, Dillity. To changing all the signage, and never occurred to me, Jen, you're in a parallel universe. Why would I think that, given how we were raised? So, and then, when North America and South America were no longer one on top of each other, I didn't go, ooh, I've quantum jumped. No, I thought the school that I worked for, even though it was full of wealthy parents who paid big bucks to send their kids to that school, I thought that they were cheap. I thought the staff was cheap and bought cheap globes and maps. Why would I at that time think, geez, Jen, those maps and globes reflect the current geography that's supposedly going on? So, I explained all that away. Sorry, I'm being pulled by my Della doggy. Oh, good poopers. Hold on, I gotta pick up a poopy pile. Good poopers. All right, so that was the backstory, but when I came across the, hold on, baby. When I came across here's the pooper bag. Sorry for the distraction, but life happens. Sorry, guys. What happens, come on, is when I came across the Mandela effect, there were other things that I was not aware had, quote, changed. Monopoly Man always had a monocle for me. No, I'm not getting him confused with Mr. Peanut. In fact, the friends, the MEers in the UK, they don't have a Mr. Peanut. So those over there who remember the monocle, what would they be confusing it with if they never heard of Mr. Peanut? So whatever, I know that he always had a monocle. as a kid I liked to draw, so you know, I drew his monocle. Why would I make that up? I could have made that up, but why would I coincidentally have made up something that the other emirs coincidentally see? Just statistically, for us all to misremember the same thing. You know, I was an American abroad. I was not exactly with other Americans for me to confabulation it. Speaking of drawing, I used to, being the American abroad, I used to draw the American flag. And, you know, the blue box rested on a red stripe. So yes, I'm a 50-stater. Some of us experience 52 states, 54 states. I've always been aware of 50 states. But, you know, I no longer doubt those other people that they lived in realities with that, because my flag had the blue box was resting on a red stripe. So what that also showed me is that different worlds fight, squabble, divide themselves into different pieces, parts. You know, what's the point? What's the point? We're all one. And I get it. Like a glove, each finger wants to be their own separate finger. So maybe, you know, the pinkies have their own flag. The problem is you know, the American flag in one reality is different in another one. So I'm ready to pass by some people, so I may filter myself. And maybe not, because they're just probably background actors. Dolores Cannon, I appreciate your work. Cynthia Sue Larsen, hello. I appreciate your work. You two help me not feel so insane for what I'm witnessing. Even the divisiveness and squabbliness between we, the people, you know, Baja California. How can geography change aside from North and South America no longer being on top of each other, and Australia no longer being down under, not near any continents? It's so close to the continents now. How can the ice caps have no longer be there in the North Pole, and yet we did not, you know, get covered up from the ice meltings? Or did we? Did we die and we're now in another world where there are no ice caps? I know, I'm all over the place. But geography, one of my theories is Baja California. You know, for every decision that's made, a new reality is made, or every heart's intention is made. Not even anything physical, like planting a flag. This is part of the United States, Baja California. What if enough people in Baja California, what if enough white people became, what if their wish came true? Enough white people said, ugh, let the Hispanics go back to where they came from. Well, guess what? You whiteys, you got your little dream come true, because they're back where supposedly, quote, they came from, because Baja California is now, and always has been, part of Mexico. So, you know, enough heart's intentions, I do believe, create certain realities, which I know this goes beyond the Mandela effect, but that's how it's happened to me. So sorry I'm jumping around for the newbies, but you know, scripting, I believe, is a big thing. I believe that what we do with our hearts and minds matters, physically matters, and turns it into matter. So are there ME changes, clues to clue us in that what's in our hearts and minds really matters? Like the Beatles, what would you do if I sang out of tune? It's always been, if you look at old black and white footage of the Beatles singing, there now, it's always been, what would you think if I sang out of tune? I think the focus is it's not just what we say with our words, but what we say, what we think, what we feel with our intentions. Even the mamas and the papas. I know this is a repeat for some of you who have watched me before, but the mamas and papas, what would you? No. California Dreamin'. And I began to pray. Well, so many of us just go through the motions in life, just like our words are empty. With the what would you do? It's really what would you think that counts. Well, I began to pray, and is now I pretend to pray. So, do we just go through the motions of wishing someone well? Oh, bless your little heart, I'll pray for you. Or do we actually, with our hearts and minds, genuinely care about that person whom we're praying for? And if you don't want to use the word praying, I'm not a religious person, wishing best wishes for, imaginings that all is well with them. I just use the word pray, but I'm not religious, so don't let that turn you off, unless you want to. But maybe these ME changes are clues. And the biggest WTF ME for me, the biggest what the flippity flap Mandela effect change for me was the Lion and the Lamb. Because how can Bibles change? No, not translation-wise. Not my Bible is better than your Bible. One Christian group against another Christian group wise. What about the changes that are happening to the very same Bible? As my friend, I refer to him as James, just because he uses the King James Version. He refers to the same Bible in his closet from his grandmother. And he's the one, 2 years ago, it was very emotional for me. 2 years ago, it's like, yeah, I get it. I remember things this way, and people are saying it doesn't, but I was just floating on it. And then when, me not being a religious person, but knowing that Isaiah 11:6, I actually didn't know it was Isaiah 11:6, but I knew that the lion laid with the lamb. Whenever anybody said which two animals lay together, it's like it was known. It was known. And so when it became the wolf laying with the lamb, that's when my mind was officially blown. And that's when I don't even think I stepped off the cliff. I just kind of tripped over it. And so I called my militant Christian friend, because he's of a certain specific Christian group, and all the other Christian groups are wrong, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. We were still friends despite his divisive rhetoric. And, he looked it up, and he said it was the wolf lays with the lamb. And then a few days later, in response to one of my writings, because I write to process things, and when I'm not even able to put it in poetry form, that's when you know I'm still out of control, because I'm not able to contain it and wrap it up and tie it with a bow and put it on a shelf as a release. But anyhow, so I wrote it about the wolf laying with the lamb, trying to make sense of things, and he was the one that informed me a lamb and wolf would never lay together, Jennifer. And first I didn't even understand, because he goes into deep, there's a yellow butterfly, thank you butterfly. He goes into deep, always religious teachings, or Bible-based religious teachings. Look at the pretty purple flowers. So he's like, the leopard lays with the kid. I was like, the kid? I had to understand whether it was a child or a goat, but it's a goat. So he had no memory of telling me what was before the wolf and the lamb. He had no memory. So some people say that it's still the wolf and the lamb, but for me, when I asked him which two animals lay together, he only looked up lay. The problem is he doesn't even think. He only understands the Bible teachings based on what he looks up. So as his book changes, he just blindly repeats what's written in the book. Yeah, books can change. Physical books, he's looking at the same one book. So that blew my mind. How can personal items change, right? So how can Hitler's eyes be blue? I mean, it was such a funny thing that he was, not funny, it was a stupid thing that he was exterminating people based on their eye color when he himself had the brown eyes. Why is there such hatred for skin color when the same person is Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin, is black in one reality and white in another reality? You know, why is he more lovable in one skin color than another one? So to me, these clues, the ME changes, just elevated me to a more observer point of view, because it doesn't matter. Like Marilyn Monroe's dress size, I looked it up when my youngest, you know, she's a different body type and larger than her petite little sister, and it was hard for her. So I looked up all the plus size or larger models, and I was like, hey, people pay for J-Lo butt implants. Hey, Marilyn Monroe, look, she's size 14, and that was considered plus size back then. So, you know, I looked it up. Of course, now in this reality, she's like a size 2 or something. For me, the Marilyn Monroe piercing, if you go to a tattoo parlor, they give it to you, a piercing, a Marilyn Monroe piercing, you know, above the lip. Well, I've been through realities where her posters and the very same movies have her mole all over the place. And yes, you know, one was even symmetrical, twin ones. Oh my gosh, it's hot out here. You know, does it matter where her mole is? It's her character. It's her essence in everyone. You know, the true test is, can you be a sexy thing at size 14 or size 2? You know, can you be a great inventor no matter what your skin color is? The point is, we can be anybody and anything, and the human costumes change. So to me, it's almost like in this one theater, there are multiple stages. Now, for my 3D brain, I was putting them side by side, but I actually think that they all live one on top of the other. And so yeah, some stages are globe, some stages are flat. Someone recently said the earth now looks egg-shaped, you know, heart-shaped. It doesn't matter to me. It's a stage. And every stage seems to have different set designs. My original stage, what I call Birth Earth, the moon used to be vertical, a slice, and its face would go face to the right. The moon now, and yeah, for me, the moon's been out in the daytime for since the 70s, late 70s. So that part's not weird for me, but it is for many of you who experience the Mandela effect. Hold on one second, there's someone coming. Come here. Hey, how are you? You're wearing a long sleeve on a hot day. Whew. Okay. So, you know, the moon has now become a sideways Cheshire grin. Now it's been top heavy, then it's been, you know, it's been all sorts of angles. And and sizes and labeled names that I never experienced before. So that's a set design. Of course, the yellow sun, is different. It used to be high noon. It would arch over me. And then there for a while, it would be more like a slingshot, a sideways slingshot. And where it never went high noon. And I was like, what does high noon mean in this reality? But so the set design is different. The props are different. The thinker statue, the Atlas statue, Lady Justice statue, Lady Liberty, Statue of Liberty statue, which brings me to the next thing is, okay, sure, so she switched arms, which, arms, she's holding the torch, and she has all these changes to chains on her feet and looking more masculine and whatever. Those are not even as important to me because she ended up teaching me that history is different in every reality. So history is also malleable. Here, let's turn around. Come on. Because for me, she was always on Ellis Island, and I even went there early 90s with my 1-year-old and my grandmother who had come to Ellis Island as a 1-year-old with her mom. So it was a very poignant experience for me. Now, I wish I would have chosen to go up to the torch because that would have served me well now, but I chose not to because when they described how, it's elevators most of the part, but then the last bit are winding stairs, I was a tired mom. I didn't want to carry my baby, and I was just a tired mom. So, my mother's boyfriend went up to the torch, but per history, nobody's been up there for 100 years. Why? Because the Germans bombed. It got damaged when the Germans bombed U.S. soil. Well, that was never part of the history where I grew up, and so history changes. Even the whole Pearl Harbor thing changed, and of course people go down the conspiracy routes of, cover-ups for the World Trade Center, and it's just that there are different realities. So every time your heart and mind wants to believe this and this happened, I think if enough people believe it, it changes, it creates a new world, or it changes that history. So I don't know. Speaking of the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, one now has a antenna. The Eiffel Tower has an antenna. C-3PO has an antenna. Antennas are for receiving. So I just think of receiving. I'm a weird one. When I first found out about the Mandela effect and accepted it, I was actually happy because I thought maybe the people who see the Mandela effect will be able to digest when I share my stories, my woo-woo stuff, the Sixth Sense-ish stuff, like, seeing dead people. And of course, I was 31 and believed you lived, you die, you decay. So for me to see a dead person was ridiculous, given my past. But it's not scary. It's actually a beautiful thing. I think they're here all along, and we've just shut them out because we've been programmed to believe that it's bad to talk to your loved ones. And really, it's just like they went to another room. And if you want to take it a step further, we're all energy, and it's just source energy. So they can go to the other side and go to the light and be here talking to you. Just like I believe the angels are energies, or if you extraterrestrials are interpretations of energies. So yeah, I've experienced angels. Yeah, I've experienced extraterrestrials. So whatever, if you cannot handle that, you're probably not gonna be able to handle that. Some people do see the Mandela effect, but for me, they're multiple experience things. So I will take it to a personal level. It's not just changes that we see out there, because things can be changed, CGI'd. Media can be manipulated, but we're not really knowing what's being portrayed on the TV because they could have just green screened it or something. But here in my real life, I'm just this avatar. I'm just wearing this human costume, and my dragon is wearing this human costume, not human costume, this dog costume. You see what I'm saying? It's like we are just bundles of essence, and to me, ME stands for multiple experiences. Our essence, in my belief, wanted to experience, and it is expressing itself on multiple stages here on this one here now, one time and one place, just on different stages with different scenes, props, costumes, scripts, and we each came here to play, and with kind of a set parameters, and then we have our cast, fellow castmates. Hold on, I'm crossing the road. Actually, Delta was crossing the road. Fellow castmates, and we are all active castmates for each other, and many of us are NPCs for each other. Come on. So the thing is, we're each on our own stage, and sorry, I'm distracted again. So my personal physical stages have changed. My floor plan, my hallway changed sizes at the old apartment. I had a baby gate in front of the door because my kitty cat Nelson at the time liked to dart out. So I would have a baby gate leaning against it. At the base of it, it was leaning against it was perpendicular with a wooden bench. The wooden bench was nudged into a corner wall. So, when you open the door, the far side of the bench went into that corner, and then the front side of the bench is what held the baby gate, the base of the baby gate in place, and then the baby gate could lean towards the door. So when you open the door,